It's Spoilerin time, folks. And if you're new to the show, we have another show called Cordkillers where we figure out how to watch things. What are the services? What's coming out? And we watch them and we come here and we talk about them so we can be all spoilery. This week, we'll be talking about Westworld, Season 4, Episode 5, What We Do in the Shadows, Season 4, Episode 3, and Better Call Saul, Episode 9. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah, dude. I can't wait to dive in. If only it could be a show that's I don't know how to feel about.
Let's talk about Better Call Saul, Season 4, Episode 9. Brian, there are no bad episodes of Better Call Saul.
Right, but mathematically, some must be less great than others.
Wait, now this is conversation that you say when you don't like an episode. Were we not fans of Better? Whoa, I'm looking at two faces who are very about to break me some bad news about Better Call Saul.
Okay, so last episode, Better Call Saul, we knew we had to move very, very quickly for reasons of clearing the runway and so on.
Yeah.
This one, we knew, I guess we're still clearing what runway? It's like, oh yeah, by the way, also they have to hurry up and break up. She has to vanish with no explanation given. He has to suddenly become...
We cleared the runway to watch an airplane taxi, and I guess it took off.
Yeah. And then, meanwhile, it's like, yeah, whatever. We saw him do the thing that he did, sitting in his Constitution bathroom or whatever.
This is the kind of episode that is going to be better binged. It's going to make perfect sense, and I'm not going to dislike it. I'm not going to look back and think this episode was a waste of time.
Agreed.
But two things happened. One was it has been so breakneck and so good that it was bound to have to, for storytelling purposes, hit a lull, which I think is what this was.
Yes.
They also love to take story break chances. They love to play with the timeline, which they did by showing him in the mansion with the ties. And that sort of stuff works great once it's paid off. But until it's paid off, I'm sitting here going like, okay, what are you doing, Gilligan? Like, where am I going? And I think the third thing, and I don't know if this affected you or not, Brian, I'm going to guess it didn't. I saw something about don't get spoiled on this episode of Better Call Saul, blah, 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 from one of the showrunners on Twitter. And I was like, oh, well, we better watch this quick. And then the reveal was, of course, that they break up. And thus, we understand why Kim might not be in Saul's future in Breaking Bad. But
unfortunately,
it felt like to me, I was like, that's it. That's the big reveal. Like, okay. I mean, we've got a few episodes left. I'm betting we're getting more on Kim.
Yeah, you're correct. The most obviously premeditated, unstoppable force that had to have happened, some kind of break between the two, did indeed happen.
Yeah.
I just wish that Twitter wasn't cluttered up also with spoiler ? I don't know. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul talking about how they weren't supposed to know that they're in the show yet.
Is that the false flag of like, oh, we're going to try to tell you this and you'll think it happens this episode, but it doesn't.
Whatever it is, it left me like, hey, that's not milk, that's coconut milk in your soup.
And I don't dislike coconut milk, but I was not expecting it to be in my soup.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, no, hold on. Because
Okay.
this is an awesome episode. It's
a good episode.
That's a great...
I don't know that I thought it was the greatest episode. It's certainly one of the best of Better Call Saul because season 1 and 2
Bryce,
had
for
some
the
pretty slow
remainder
episodes,
of this segment, I would like to refer you to my attorney, Tom Merritt. He'll be speaking on my behalf. I think he has a pretty fair understanding of what I saw and what I experienced.
I mean, yes, a lot of things wrapped up, right? Mike and Nacho's dad had to have their thing. Kim and Saul had their thing. We had to go and get the memorial for Howard. We also get Gus dealing with the Salamancas and setting the stage for exactly the environment for Breaking Bad.
We even understand why HHM isn't around in Breaking Bad at the end of this. And I'll be honest, I thought that was the strongest scene of the entire episode was Kim stepping up with the believable oh, I mean, I don't know what I saw, but his head was down on the desk. It was brilliantly executed. They've set it up well by having Kim do similar things over the years. And it was a believable reason for Kim to say, I love you, but I can't be with you because I have become a monster. And I did that thing to her, and that was horrible. I bought all of that, and I thought that was good.
Yeah, and I mean, there can be, everyone is approaching the show in a different way.
Sure.
The breakup scene especially just I've been through a break. I separated from somebody very recently, and that scene was accurate. That scene
this is
was
what I'm talking about. We all bring
correct.
different things to a scene.
Was a capital C.
Hold on.
Correct scene.
Now all of a sudden I just want to reset everything. Through that lens, I could understand that this would be a very powerful moment.
I will say this. This episode came up in my therapy last week. I was like,
that's totally believable.
Yeah.
And a great example of how I haven't broken up with anyone since the last century. So,
yeah.
So that is going to be very distant, and the impact of that. Well, I was watching it and I agreed. I was like, yeah, this feels like a real breakup. It's muted. You don't throw plates, and all of that. It didn't hit me like that. So thank you for being willing to share that, because it makes a lot of sense why you and a lot of other people out there who I think are probably in a similar situation really, really praised that episode and that scene.
Well, and at the risk of getting overly emotional, I could totally see that, like, there's an earnestness and an honesty to the very pragmatic reason that she's like, when she says, I can't be with you because I see, who I become when I'm with you, it's very powerful stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When that last line that she gives of like, I love you too. So what? Like, God, I'm
also
like,
am I wrong? But is this like the first and only time we see what appears to be genuine romantic love expressed between the two?
Certainly one of the only times they ever say love. The only time we see them really get intimate was at the end of the scam before Howard died.
We see them get it on,
right?
But we never see them say love, like, no, I love you, and this is a tender expression of that.
Right.
Yeah, they have showed that in small touches, things they do for each other, but they've never expressed it. At least I can't remember it either. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that you're right, because that's always been their dynamic, is they are a very pragmatic relationship. Mm-hmm. They live together, they work with each other, they work together on things, and presumably all of the other things.
They know that they click chemistry wise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's also just a better show that we don't get the everyday lovey-dovey stuff. Maybe it's a better show that we only see them as operators.
Well, okay, so let me try this on for size then, because I think I could totally agree that you're right, that this is more special because of what it doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I could be on board for that.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, Tom, do you happen to be somebody who's been married for a very long time to someone?
Yeah, it's funny you should bring that up. Yeah, I've been married for 19 years to somebody.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about how I had been married for 24 years, and we're about to hit 25. The silver anniversary, they call it. So maybe
because of the silver in your hair. That's why it's called that.
You know what? I'm back on Bryce's side, and I think you're a real piece of work, Tom.
Work was not the word you were looking for. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You were saying you and I have both been married a long time.
Yeah. I was. Wasn't I?
And we're still incredibly youthful nonetheless. And therefore...
My point being is that when things are young and electric, they probably land differently than when you are farther into your lifelong commitment to your loved one.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of why it landed a little bit different, because like I think both Bonnie and I were like, yeah, oh goodness, yes, please, the two of you, get out of there. What are you doing? That's nothing good is going to come of this.
Which isn't, I mean, we've been watching this show for what, 6, 7+ years, however long it's been taking them to make it. But in the show, their relationship's only what, a year or two old? Maybe they've only been married.
Right, it's only a couple of years old.
But
they did get married.
It's certainly in those early electric days,
Yeah,
and so on.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I'm sort of at the risk of repeating myself. I watched that and distantly thought, oh, I remember what that was like. Not ouch. The whole different situation.
Yeah. Speaking of ouch, what did you guys think of the Nacho's dad and Mike conversation through the chain link fence?
I'm not entirely sure who that was for.
I feel like there's another piece of that that's going to fit in. That was necessary. That was a setup for something else Mike's going to do down the road, because it didn't feel like necessary for closure. Although I guess we followed his dad so long, and having his dad say, "You're saying this for you, not for me. I'm the real one left behind with the pain caused by what you all did." Maybe that's point enough on its own to do that scene. I don't know.
Yeah, if it was for Mike, then it seems beneath Mike, because Mike, as I perceive him, would be too badass to need this, right? If it was for Nacho's dad, it seems beneath Nacho's dad, because there was no surprise. Nacho's dad was like, yeah, I knew he was being a naughty boy when I watched him. Yeah. So it's sweet, but ultimately I don't know what it gives us.
I think my read on this would be that this is like the galvanization of Mike, right? We're seeing a lot of Mike's firsts. Just a season or two ago when he shot the German lead, that was like his first. That was one of his first kills. That was before Mike was
straight up murder. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that there's some of that of just like, this is him realizing, no, you can't go do this after the fact. You're going to want to feel better about this because it's, eating up on him. He can't watch the baseball game. But it's not, it just didn't make him feel better. Didn't make his dad feel better. Didn't bring Nacho back. And I think now he learned that lesson the hard way. Yeah,
I do feel like they were trying to do a better version of, but that won't bring my son back, without just having him say that. So I think that scene works in achieving that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still feel like I'd almost rather the time jump would have happened at the beginning of the next episode, rather than it felt tacked on to show me that at the end of this episode somehow.
Yeah. However, as always, they have enough credit where it's like they can always surprise us next episode, and I wouldn't be the least bit, surprised.
Oh, Fearless Freep has a great point in chat. Going back to Mike, they say it's what finally breaks Mike to be a completely cold businessman. And yeah, you see him looking at the toys from, for his daughter-in-law. So
yeah. The time jump, here's my read on the time jump, is that we're not going to pick up that next episode. I think that was to let us know the bit of Better Call Saul that takes place before Breaking Bad is finished. Now we're letting you know Breaking Bad's going to happen. And
we're going to be running alongside Breaking Bad now.
Or I think
or after.
we do another time jump. Yeah, we time jumped at the end of this episode, and next this new episode, I would bet, starts again time jumped into the post Breaking Bad, just so that we can get right into it.
So
rather
we
than
are
do
going
all
to
of
see
that.
Bryan Cranston, which implies that we'll either see Breaking Bad era or pre-Breaking Bad era.
Oh, that's true.
But so how many more episodes do we have left?
Season
Just 4 episodes left.
So
is what they
4
told me at
episodes
the end.
left. Okay, give me 1 in color. Give me 3 black and white, and I'll be very, very happy.
What if it's the black and white era, but it's not in visually black and white?
They've been pretty consistent about those rules, but if they want to break them, they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap up so we can go watch the next episode and then wait a week to talk about it. That's Better Call Saul, season 4.
Ooh, the Gus scene, just awesome. That Gus scene was
I'm
amazing.
sorry.
That Gus scene was crazy, really, really
With
good.
the wine?
With the wine, yeah.
It does feel like they were showing us the one moment where Gus almost wanted to give up his life of crime. Not that he would, but
yeah,
toyed with the idea.
Yeah. And it was great. It was great watching him flirt. Kind of flirt? Is he flirting?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. Oh, it's just the wine. Okay. You can pour me a glass, big boy. That is Better Call Saul, episode 9. Let's talk about What We Do in the Shadows, season 4, episode 3, the grand opening, not just vampire nightclub, and the creation of a brand new character, Richie Suck, the hit singer.
Let's talk about the suck in the room. The fact that they very clearly set us up for okay, here's an artist who's being pressured into doing the type of art that he's not into. And it's like, yeah, no, you should do what you want to do. And then we get what he wants to do. And it's like, oh, dear, no,
we
you
don't
should
want you to
not
do that.
do that. You should do literally anything. The jazz trio would have been better. That was amazing.
And yet, it was all for a good cause. In the end, we learn the true talent of Baby Colin.
His music. He's tap dancing in musicals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's got a. I like this joke that they're doing, but we need to pay this joke off very soon. That he's still an energy vampire. He's just doing it with child stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, my kid, he's so good. He's so good. Oh my God. You know, you've got to watch him. You got to watch him. Nobody tap dances like this one.
Oh, did you see it? Have you heard about knolling? It's when you organize all the Legos before you put them together. It's so good. It was so perfect.
I experienced a lot of confusing feelings during this episode.
But that's not boring. Was that one of them?
I don't know.
Or was it more, man, poor Richie Suck?
Poor Richie Suck. Richie Suck got well, he died, didn't he?
Wait, did he?
Did he die? Yeah, no, they ate him.
Yeah, they ate him.
No. They ate his manager.
Oh, that's right.
They
They
ate
read
Tom Schmidt.
from Fred
Yeah.
Armisen.
Because I remember thinking, my wife hasn't seen it yet, but I remember thinking, oh, she'll enjoy this one because yet again she gets to see Fred Armisen get killed.
Armisen died. Do you think Fred Armisen this is a self-awareness of like, yes, book me on as many comedies as possible where people can kill me. It will make everyone happy.
I know it'll make Bonnie happy.
Hey, I honestly, I loved this episode. It was a good, solid episode of What We Do in the Shadows. I don't have a lot to say about this episode myself. Do y'all have more?
No, I really don't. And I might have more if I didn't know that the next thing you guys were going to talk about would be...
All right. So that is What We Do in the Shadows, season 4, episode 3. Let's make Brian's dreams come true and talk about Westworld, season 4, episode 5, Zhuangzi.
Yeah, which didn't come up. Zhuangzi didn't come up in the episode. It all took place in New York. I meant to go look that up. New York.
Which I think is a fake New York that has been created in New York. Is that right?
It is.
No, you're thinking of the New York that was created in Las Vegas.
Yeah, no, this is not that one. This is.
I think this is New York.
I think it's
because they see the
location of New York. They just used flies to put everyone under control, and now it's the humans who are the hosts in a game that the robots play when they go to New York.
Sorry.
Okay.
I try not to ask too much too soon, but what?
So Hale's. So we got a really great profile on Hale this episode.
And I really liked the scene where Man in Black Bot is talking to the douchey guy and his wife in the restaurant.
Yeah. And we really it was great to see Hale open up to her Man in Black diary, because it's not a human, and she basically goes, yeah, I mean, I'm God, and God is bored. She goes on this really great tangent of like, maybe this is why the gods and humans pre-host revolution would just kill and destroy and make chaos, because otherwise beauty and peace and unity is very boring.
And the humans thought it was all about them, but it had nothing to do with them. The gods were just bored. And so I'm going to walk out in the street and make everyone walking along the street dance a waltz. And make this busker play piano until his fingers bleed. And then I'm going to make them all stop. And I'm going to turn to the Man in Black and go, shh, we need to use this scene in the trailer, so people wonder what it's about.
And now, Brian.
Go on.
We got a really interesting look into what Hale's motivations are, Tom. I don't know if you picked up on it. I only kind of got it on the second watch. So in this world, there are humans who have the parasite. There are hosts who are robotic beings that are fully synthetic. And then I guess there are god hosts like Hale and Dolores or Christina.
Christina, yeah.
And that Hale is trying to get everybody to join her in a virtual universe, like I'm assuming like the Sublime, and that she is not having much luck convincing people to do that they are stuck in the human
the central
world.
problem is, and it's a little bit shaky why this has to happen, but maybe it doesn't matter. Hosts are supposed to get all their human stuff out. Yeah. Go to these places like New York and have fun, live it up, and like humans used to do in Westworld.
And you can kill humans if they breach.
And there are rules. There aren't any rules.
No rules.
But they're allowed to kill humans within reason. And then they're supposed to ascend, which is basically, it seems like you go out on that maze island and they pop your head open and put your ping pong ball in a thing, and then you join the virtual world. And that's the end goal. We want everyone to ascend, but some of the hosts don't want to ascend and instead kill themselves. And Hale needs Man in Black to fix that, because she doesn't know why that happens.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting dynamic, to say the least, of like, hey, I'm already the emperor of Earth. Can we try to do my edicts, please? and
there's that good line where somebody says, like, why don't you just make them ascend? And she says, that's what they would do.
That's what the humans
And so she is trying to be better than the humans.
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned the scene with the Man in Black and what I assumed were two humans under his control. That was an interesting conversation. But the conversation with Dolores and Hale in the back half of the episode, where they're in the coffee, Christina,
where Hale is playing the part of Christina's college friend.
Right. And
well, at this point, Christina's Teddy, who is never given his name.
She says Teddy.
Is he Teddy?
I'm pretty sure she says Teddy.
Oh, okay.
I'm like
they kept dancing around it, but maybe that was just by accident. Oh. But anyway, he's told her the truth about her world and that she's a host and teaches her how to control the world, that she has the ability to change people's stories just by thinking about it. And after that, Charlotte Hale wants to see her and she has to pretend like nothing's up.
And on the second time watching that conversation between Hale and Christina, you see, if you take in that, what Hale wants is to convince hosts and humans with the parasite to leave the physical plane and go to, I don't know, a digital Eden or whatever she's doing.
A post-physical universe.
Yeah. Then that whole conversation is all subtext. It's all like this coded language of, hey, like, did you just find out that you have host power? Did you just find out that you're God? Because I have a proposition for gods. And Christina is very skeptical of that because of Teddy, showing her the new breath.
And Teddy telling her, like, pretend like nothing has changed. Don't let on. You'll be in danger. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. I'm really into this. To me, this is a really strong way to have politicking like drama without as much. There's not as much action in this season compared to last season.
The Christina stuff's really interesting. If I think about it too hard, I start to wonder, like, well, why? Why would they have Christina have godlike powers and not let her use them and make her write stories at a game company? What is the motivation? What is the gain in hiding that? If I don't think about it too hard, I'm really enraptured at her discovery of this. And the fact that she is now a wild card agent in this world who, by concentrating, can see doors that nobody else can see and get backstage and just close her eyes and think things to happen differently. Like when her boss starts harassing her, she just basically tells him, like, oh, you're going to stop harassing me now and you're going to go home because you're tired. And then he does that, which also made me, if I start to think too hard again, go, well, then that never just came out when she was frustrated in the past. So, I like it, as it may not be entirely consistent if you've drilled down on it, but if you don't drill down too far, it's an enjoyable twist to everything.
So the function of even having the shallow veneer of living the life of a mortal as an entry fee to eventually go post-physical. Why?
Well,
we don't know.
We don't know.
Okay. It's sort of a vague, you got to do this to get your yayas out before you ascend.
Well,
basically.
And they do explain, because part of the hosts are killing themselves because they're playing the game, but the game is populated by humans who are no longer viable, who breach. They, for whatever reason, the sound and the parasites don't work. They can see the tower, and that's how the system keeps those oddities in check. Is they have the hosts go kill for fun, and I have to assume some hosts know about the way of the world. That I have to imagine.
And I totally get that the hosts would interact with a breached human and start to realize that there's something bad about what they're doing, or start to doubt, and why playing the game and going after the breached humans might cause them to not want to ascend. I still don't know why they need to ascend. I'm not sure what the carrot is. I get the stick, but I'm not sure about the carrot.
I mean, that is Hale's current problem, right? Is she wants to convince people, and clearly she can't.
Yeah.
Or
and maybe it's a
better
MacGuffin
marketing to like ascend, because
maybe they're going to
cool.
explain it next episode. Maybe it's a MacGuffin that is just like, no, because it's better, and it doesn't matter. I don't know.
I mean, we got a lot of stuff early in this season in the Sublime with what's his name?
Ed Harris.
No.
Bernard.
Bernard, right. We saw
Yeah.
Bernard in the Sublime early on. And then, the host that he was talking to said, yeah, we're all in here and we all just kind of do whatever we want to do. We can all shape a reality to our own will. And it's amazing. And I have to imagine the same drive that keeps those hosts in the Sublime when they could return to the physical world, it seems, that they're not, that they're choosing to stay in the digital world, and there's something about it that they are appreciative of.
I mean, but why does Hale care? Why does she want them to ascend? That's the thing. Like, I get that she doesn't want to force people to ascend, but what's the, I mean, why not just upload everybody? I mean, I guess that would be forcing them, but it seems like they also created a lot of these hosts. So if you're creating them, why not create them in the Sublime in the first place? Why create the body? Is there something they're supposed to learn by doing that? Is it a history lesson? I have a lot of questions on that. And especially, why recreate Dolores as Christina?
I mean,
I can get why you'd be worried that she'd turn into Dolores, and that's why you hide her from herself, maybe. But then why make Christina at all?
I have to imagine that when Teddy's talking to her at the end of the episode, the big line at the end of the episode is she's asking, well, why would someone do this to me? Why would someone put me in here to just write all of every citizen's backstory? And Teddy goes, that was your choice. That you did that. You designed it. And so I have to imagine.
Don't forget that Hale is part Dolores.
Right.
That's from a previous season, but she is built on Dolores's code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I bet it's something like that, where like Dolores may like kick this off, but then Hale took over or split her out as like another personality rather than maybe old Dolores.
Can I point something out just observationally that I'm seeing right now?
Yeah, sure.
There has not been a single episode this entire season that you guys have not been just ebullient over, just giddy, just, I can't believe, cutting each other off like, oh, and then we did the, oh my God, and could you believe the, until this episode where it genuinely feels like you're at a funeral of somebody who you never really liked. And the mere fact that you're not pushing back against that tells me something else.
I mean, I like this show. I mean, I like this. I like this show. I think that this is.
It's similar to the Better Call Saul episode for me, which is like there might be a lot of things in this episode that pay off, and I'm glad I went through it. But it wasn't an episode where I was stunned by anything. The last of them being the humans who are able to run through crowded Manhattan and extract a breacher and get out without real trouble. Some trouble, but not.
That scene with the breacher on the roof, the man in black finds the human breacher. It's a great scene. That monologue she gives. So when people breach, they finally see the tower. And she's talking. She says, "Well, my ex-husband, before he died, said he saw the tower, and I never saw it. And he asked me." And the line that she says that's so great, Tom, is he must have been so alone because he was seeing reality. It's not even like he was seeing an ideal concept or philosophy. He was seeing it built on the water, and nobody would believe him because he really was. He had the right call of it. There was something going on. So he was being controlled, and then he was eliminated for that. And when I don't know, something about that humanizing way of like, like that probably really sucked having everybody on the planet be wrong and tell you that you're wrong. Like that's, I mean, Kafka-esque.
It's the loneliness of madness, except in this case, it's the opposite. Because you're not mad, you're actually sane because you can actually see what's going on. And it gets to the man in black to the point that he runs to the real William, opens up his big Leonardo da Vinci wheel. And it was like, am I you or am I someone else? And I think that is going to be the underpinning here is the hosts are not sure who they are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that Charlotte Hale's plan is preventing them, even though she gives them free will and choice, it's preventing them from really understanding who they are because they are programmed. Even if it's by Charlotte Hale, not humans, they're programmed by somebody. I think the fact that it's Christina does have to do with the fact that it's actually Dolores's programming that's in that body. I mean,
the fact that Teddy shows up again means that there's some element.
Something. Yeah, we're going to get some backstory to that. We didn't see Maeve this entire time, or really Bernard.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Well, yeah, no, because we saw the rebels. We saw the rebels, so I bet it'll be a lot of Bernard. But
the rebels were mostly around Stubbs, so
right.
Yeah. We did get a little bit of the lore of the, outside of this city. It's all different, so I'm curious to see that too.
Along that topic, let's say outside of this city was, I don't know, Mars. Like, would it be a welcome change to discover that there are...
Or a spaceship or something?
Yep.
No, it wouldn't be at this point. At this point, it feels more compelling for it to be a devastated, apocalyptic Earth.
Right.
I would not like a space element at this time.
It wouldn't fit with the Bernard story.
No, I don't. I think they are going to do. I think they're going to do a weird, tricky thing of like, this isn't actually New York. This is just the biggest Westworld we've ever made. But then we did destroy the rest of civilization. So you won't I bet they're going to do something like that.
They could.
But if they wake up on a space arc next episode,
Then Maeve would have had to been on a space arc, or Bernard's going to have to fly up to the space arc, or it just doesn't. It wouldn't fit.
Right, and not to mention, like, we kind of got the sense that the folks who were in Los Angeles were not very far away from the deserts, which was not very far away from New York. We also
but also the Staten Island ferry wasn't very far away from the Upper West Side where they found the breacher, which wasn't very far away from getting back to the I'm not sure if that's
okay. Yeah,
just TV, like, and then they took a long trip. We don't need to see that.
I'm excited about the show. I like the show. You're gonna have a great. I feel like you should have a great time with this, Brian.
I will. I mean,
especially if you binge it. Like, that's the other thing is, like, a lot of the stuff that I feel like we have issues with will be solved when the whole season.
Certainly,
is out.
A lot of stuff in this episode I know will plug in and pay off elsewhere. All right, that's Westworld, season 4, episode 5. Thanks everybody for supporting us at patreon.com/Cordkillers. We literally cannot do these shows without your support. And in thanks, we give you After Talk, which is extra talk from us. We give you Spoilerin time early. Please come back next episode for Better Call Saul 609, What We Do in the Shadow. Oh, I'm sorry, that's way behind. Better Call Saul 611. Is that right? 610? 610.
Better Call Saul 610. Yes.
We had 409
I
earlier.
wrote it. It should have been 6. Sorry about that.
610. What We Do in the Shadows 404 and Westworld 406. That's it for us. We'll spoil you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.